Well, welcome to another video, A Walk with Phil, and today I'm in Smethwick, and the reason I'm in Smethwick is because 60 years ago today, the February the 12th, Malcolm X came to Britain, and he came to Smethwick because he was here under the invitation of the Indian Workers Association to see for himself the kind of racial tensions that were existing in this town back in 1965. So on that invitation, Malcolm X came here, and I'm going to show you where he went, which was Marshall Street. Show you what Marshall Street looks like today. I've just been in the Sandwell Archives. I'll show you a picture of what's actually going on in there as well, because today they're showing you all the clips of newspapers of the time reporting on the visit of Malcolm X. Malcolm X was assassinated about a few days later after his visit here in Smethwick, in New York, where he was murdered by apparently members of the Church of Islam. So it came to an abrupt end for this human rights activist. But anyway, what I'll do first of all, I'll take you a little walk around the Smethwich High Street before I make the walk up to Marshall Street, and you can see what it looks like today. So before I visit Marshall Street today, I thought I'd just show you a little bit around Smethwich High Street, and I'm starting here just at the top end here by the Sikh Temple, and we've got Roll Street ahead. Back in the day, of course, Toll House Way didn't exist. We're talking right before 1980s. Roll Street would have come right over here, and you can still see the wall there of where the road would have entered the High Street. There's Brewery Street just ahead, and this would have been the HSBC Bank here, and there's would have been Lloyd's Bank, but now of course you can see they're both closed down now, and that one is being renovated to become apartments, and I dare say the HSBC Bank will also become flats. Now all along here, of course, where the Toll House Way exists now, would have been whole rows of shops, houses, pubs. There was everything down here, but in the 70s onwards, lots of demolition occurred along here. Also, one thing of note, of course, was also that there was a couple of spurs of the railway would come from the railway over there, and would just end just behind here, behind this wall that you can see ahead, and dotted around about those particular railways that came from over there would have been warehouses and depots. And I'll show you in a bit where an old railway depot still stands. In fact, there's only two buildings that stand along the right hand side here of the High Street from those old days, from 1980 and 1981. The last few buildings were demolished, just leaving two buildings standing, one of them being the Toll House. Anyway, we just have a quick look over here. Incidentally, I have done a video of Smethwich High Street in the past, if you want to check that one out. Just here is the Tollgate Shopping Centre. Used to house Tesco, and that was the public hall over there, built in the 1860s, became a library in 1928. You can still see, if you often wondered about the old railway retaining walls here, it's because there was, as I said, a couple of railway lines beyond the wall. And just here, and I'll just show you this bit. As I said earlier, there's the old goods depot of the railway is still standing. And next to it, of course, is the toll house that's been there since 1818. And just ahead of me is the Blue Gates Hotel. Been there since 1932, although there's been a pub on that site since the 1760s. Just want to show you here as well, very difficult now to determine its exact point. But if you look in the distance, you might see the top bit of Brasshouse Lane. Well, Brasshouse Lane would have run right up to here and would have joined the High Street before the mid 1800s, but the railway cut through it, and so just this bit here where Brasshouse Lane would have entered, there'd have been a footbridge for people to cross the railway line to get to Brasshouse Lane. That's not the original bridge, what's there. That's a kind of replacement bridge. There's the plaque of the toll house. It says built around 1820 on there. As said earlier, there's the library now, as today marks the 60th anniversary of the visit of Malcolm X, and just showed the photo of what's going on in there today. Lots of newspaper cuttings laid out on the tables to give you an idea of what was happening back in those days in the mid-60s. And just here, just on the corner of what would have been a Brasshouse Lane, was a pub called the George. That was demolished in 1981. And as I said, all of these demolished properties here on the right were all to make way for this very busy toll house way that goes into Birmingham. And the other way goes up to Old West Bromwich and Oldbury. I showed you the few shops on the other side of the High Street. Yeah, just on the corner there, you can see used to be a pub. It's now Paddy Power and a cake box, but that was once the site of the Northwestern pub that was built in 1871. It closed in 1970 to become a private members club called the Red Fort. Not sure when the Red Fort disappeared, but now it's a betting shop. I believe this was the original site of Tesco before it moved to the Toll House shopping precinct. Just up here, I think that's Dibble Road, but a lot of the roads just off the High Street seem to be devoid of road signs. This is so hectic round here. All along there, look, these fine Edwardian buildings. Underneath are all shops, and they're all still in use. Let's get you a flavour of High Street. Very popular shop, that one, isn't it? Sadly, you can see some of the fine Edwardian buildings towards the end here are looking a little worse for wear. And we've got the NatWest Bank in the middle and the West Brom at the end. And it was just around here, which we're all trying to determine exactly. There would have been a pub called the Crown in between Dibble Street and Sable Street. I would say it would have been here somewhere. The Crown, again, a very old pub. It was built there in 1851 and it got demolished in 1981, and it was still trading right up until more or less before it was demolished, and there's Sable Street just ahead. There's some more Edwardian buildings here as well, again with shops that are all trading. I can't see any signs of any shops shuttered, although having said that, there's one just ahead there on the left called Naresh Jewelers, and these shops seem to, the shops here on there just seem to lie back a bit from the high street. Okay, just here on the high street, you can see White Road just there, and we got the Gurdwara Temple there. That used to be the Empire Cinema, and this is where the road would diverge. Straight on now would be the end of the high street, and this would be now St Paul's Road along here, and just ahead of me here would be the Oldbury Road. So now we are now proceeding along St Paul's Road as we leave the high street of Smethwick behind. We've got all this area now is all kind of landscaped, but as I said, this used to be the road there, look, Oldbury Road. And now it's all been changed around to become Tollhouse Way. There's the Empire Cinema. Well, it used to be the Empire Cinema, now it's Gurdwara. Next to the Gurdwara, just on this wasteland, just lying back a bit, there used to be a works or a factory of some sort just lying back there. St Albans Road there on the left. All terrace properties, all climbing up that hill there, look. Anyway, what we'll do is I'll continue along here now, St Paul's Road, that's where we are, and we'll head off towards Marshall Street and show you what Marshall Street now looks today. And there's a post office there just on the corner. That post office, you know, has been there well, hundreds of years it would seem. It's not been as long as that, but it's been there for quite some time. Straight ahead, the signposting, it says Blackheath and Langley. And up this very long terraced road would be his Bertram Road. Many of the areas of Smethwick have remained largely unchanged from the late 1800s. This is Topsham Road. Again, we've got lots of terrace properties up this end, both sides of the road. Many of the roads look like this, just off St Paul's Road and the High Street. There's the Pershaw block just there. Just here on the right of Holly Lane is a corner shop, convenience store. And this is the West Smethwick Methodist Church. Just here on the crossroads of Holly Lane. I think there was a school down there, Holly Lodge. It's always been a very busy road, St Paul's Road. It's quite a long road as well, actually. And interspersed with the terracing properties, we've got little pieces of land that was freed up to build something more modern. Looks like a very old road, that one. Quite a big premises here on the corner, which is now a Lodge Road surgery. Not sure if it still is. A lot of waste ground just here where all these newer properties was built back in the 80s, 90s. I remember it being a lot of wasteland. And there'd also be a church just down there somewhere on the left with a fiberglass steeple. I think the steeple has been preserved somewhere, but I don't know where it was erected. But all these are all new properties here on my right, and also here on the left as well. Look, back in the mid-60s, when Malcolm X walked along here in 1965, racial tensions were very high around here. And then now we've got all modern houses when it used to be all terrace properties, red bricked around here. When Malcolm X decided to walk alone along this stretch of the street, the proposal was that any housing capacity around here was bought by Smethwick Council, so they could not rent to people of black and Asian backgrounds. The Marshall Street would just go to the left, but there's nothing of note up that way. Now, as you walk along Marshall Street, you might not notice this, but this was number 30 just here in Marshall Street. This was in fact the first house in Marshall Street that was purchased by a non-white person back in the day. As you can see, look, number 30, and it looks like the houses may have been turned into one, but yes, certainly this was number 30, so it was a very significant time when first non-white family moved into Marshall Street. We've got the Channel 4 crew just ahead of me there in their car. You see one with the lights on. They're bringing somebody down here soon to talk about his time when he lived in Marshall Street back in the 1960s, when he used to play football around here. So I dare say this will be on television later on this evening. This car here. Now this is some of the old Marshall Street now, with its largely terrace stock on both sides of the road. Hard to imagine that back in the 1965 that this street was named as the most racist street in Britain. Eh? That's this is a new block here, newish block. This end of Marshall Street, as you can see, is still retained the old terrace properties from the days when, as I say, when Malcolm X made his way around here. To mark the visit of Malcolm X to Marshall Street, when he came along here, a plaque was erected. I'll just show you. So if you want to learn more about what the racial politics were around here at the time, certainly do a bit of research and that's the blue plaque. That's Malcolm X, 1925 to 1965. It was only a week later, of course, when he was murdered in New York by members of the Church of Islam. And just over there, one of the pubs called the Ivy Bush, very old pub. Has been there since 1878. It was originally called the Beach Inn, and that was one of the pubs that introduced a colour bar. There was another pub, Blue Gates, also had their own colour bars, largely introduced by landlords, and the Labour Club in Cooper's Lane, I believe, also introduced colour bars. So here we are then, we've concluded our walk along Marshall Street, where Malcolm X made that, when he made that extraordinary visit on the 12th of February, 60 years ago in 1965, to walk down this road, this street if you like, Marshall Street, to see for himself what was going on down here, with all its talk of the council buying up houses and only to be rented to those who were not black or Asian. Extraordinary times, and many would say an extraordinary man. But anyway, if you wish to come and visit the plaque, it's just here on the corner of Marshall Street, and yep, we'll leave it at that.